Hello and welcome to the Sussex Studio Experience podcast. If you can hear me, can you please put a 1 in the chat? Are we live? Yes, we are live. Yay. Okay. So here we go. Welcome to the Sussex Studio Experience podcast. I am your host, Professor Zinzi, and I have a jam-packed show planned for us today. Thank you for those of you who joined us for our episode yesterday, and thank you for all of you who continuously support us in the work that we do. So I am going to just get to it. So today, as you can see, the title of our episode is Trolls Ain't Loyal. Connie Balmer, hey, how are you? Thank you so much for showing up. I appreciate you always. What do you think of the title, guys, of the episode? It comes from our show, These Trolls Ain't Loyal. So we're going to be talking about, clearly, the BM, and I had a choice. I was considering putting up some emojis around BM, and then I thought, well, I don't know. So I settled on Trolls Ain't Loyal. So how are you guys anyway, before I jump in? Because this thing is pretty jam-packed with a lot of the things we're going to be talking about. I am looking for my transition, and there it is. So good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you are in the world, and welcome to our Sussex Studio experience, where we delve deep into the stories that shape our world and shape our Duchess's world and celebrate the power of resilience and change. Today's episode is extra special because we're intertwining the timeless beauty of Bill Withers, yay! His song Lovely Day with the inspiring journey of our Duchess, Meghan Markle. So, how many of you all are familiar with the song Lovely Day? If you're familiar with the song Lovely Day, can you put a 1 in the chat and let us know? It's one of my favorite songs. It is my go-to car song. So when I'm feeling particularly a certain way, or when I want to feel a certain way, I put on Lovely Day. So when I wake up in the morning, love, and the sunlight hurts my eyes. Do you guys know that song? What makes a lovely day for you? Is it the small victories, the moments of connection, or the stories that inspire you? Stay with us as we explore how Meghan, our Princess Duchess, embodies the essence of a lovely day in her life and in her work. So the image on the screen, I am imagining that you guys can see it, with our Duchess just with no cares, and she's walking on the beach somewhere in California, and she is so unbothered. And we see 3 of the usual suspects, and there were so many to choose from. These guys, though, get a particular award for the work that they do, right? They are always out here in these streets being the ones who are putting out stories around the Duchess that don't typically, allegedly, turn out to be true. So the first one, in the black jacket, we know about his obsession. He has had a long-standing obsession with our Duchess for years, and it seems like that obsession has caused him a lot of problems. And so as we think about him, we think about the alleged dinner that he said he had with our Duchess, or drink that he had with our Duchess, and ever since then, she ghosted me. I think she ghosted me, he says, allegedly, and she never returned my phone calls. Did she happen to have a meeting with him? Is that the night she had her first date with him? And then he lost an entire job over his obsession with and around our Duchess, which was pretty interesting. And so anyway, we'll be talking a bit about him. So, and then Bill has a line, then I look at you and the world's all right with me. Do you have a person that you go to, or is it the Sussex Squad when you enter into these spaces? Do you look around in the chat and you feel like the world's all right with me? Because that's how I feel. And when I think about Meghan's journey, I think about lots of moments in Meghan's journey that made the world all right for her. And I think about you guys as the squad who helped to usher that in this new era for our Duchess, of having a world where she can experience a kind of lovely day. So when you think about her journey, what moments make the world feel all right for you? How does her story inspire you? Does it inspire you to face your own challenges? So the royal family. So we're going to talk a little. Thank you so much for the number one. I don't know if the chat is just really slow, but I'm just seeing that right now. Thank you for the hearts, Connie Balmer. Thank you so much. So, in the media a lot we've been hearing about this whole shakeup with Prince Charles, or King Charles, if you will, saying that he wanted a slimmed down monarchy. And what I think about is, how's that working out for you? Right. So I think that the royal family definitely needs a shakeup. Right now, I think his slimmed down monarchy proposal is not working well. And especially with only having really the top royals working. Who's working really? King Charles is working a bit. His wife is working a bit. We barely see Prince William, or I barely see Prince William and or his kiddos. I haven't seen Kate in, what is it? I put a number out there. I'll have to take another look. So we haven't seen her in about more than 6 months at this point. So the slim down monarchy is a thing that doesn't seem to be working. So with this limited capacity from senior royals, there's now a call for more working royals to ensure the institution's relevance. Meghan and Harry's move to California marked a new chapter filled with advocacy and personal growth. Hello, thank you guys. So they moved, they wanted a slim down monarchy. And so to me, when I heard that phrase about slim down monarchy, I automatically started thinking, prince and princess, this means you. The king allegedly wants to have a slim down monarchy so he can get more attention in the press, which is a thing, right? I want to be seen, I want to be loved, and if you are not here taking up all of this space, then there will be more room in the newspapers for me. If these stories are coming out, and we're going to get into that whole conversation around the deal that Harry talked about in his book between the senior royals and the BM, the British media, right? So so King Charles started that whole slim down monarchy, and now who will rise up and stand for the family? Is there anyone left to stand? First they came for Harry and Meghan, and they could no longer stand up because they're in Montecito. Hello, everyone. Hello. Apart that Kate is sick, allegedly. Connie says, yes. Right. And so who will stand for Kate, though? Who will stand for William? If Prince Charles or King Charles, I have a hard time with that, guys. I'm so sorry. If King Charles is sick, as he says he is, who is standing for him? I don't see Princess Anne standing up. We know that for the most part they don't. No one really seems to be very interested in Edward, which could be a good thing because he doesn't take up a lot of space in the media, which seems to cause a lot of problems, right? And we see Camilla, you know what her title is. We see her doing a lot of work out there, and she seems to be the most senior royal. So I don't know, it doesn't seem to be working based on his health concerns, the health concerns of Princess Kate, and the fact that we don't see her and we haven't seen the kiddos. And there's also all this mystery surrounding where she is, right? So this departure left a gap in the royals' public engagements and raised questions about who would fill this void. The recent health concerns of King Charles and Kate have only intensified the need for change. So his whole, the first big thing he did, slim down monarchy after the death of, QE2, doesn't seem to be working. And so there does seem to be an intensified need for change. What are they calling for now? I hear a lot of clamoring in the media. Oh, guys, before I go any further, let me pause. I get anxiety at the beginnings. How did the surgery go? Have we gotten any information about how one of our own princesses is doing today? If you know, can you please put that in the chat? I want to send out, love, light, prayers, and good energy so that she knows that we're thinking about her and that we care. So if you have any information that is okay to share, could you please put that in the chat, guys? Because I've been thinking about that too. So, so back to this whole episode, right? So this departure left a gap in their public engagement, and it's raised questions about who would fill the void. So Kate, it is said that Kate is currently undergoing treatment for stage 0 cancer. That, I don't know that they said it this way, but I've talked to people who have had stage 0 cancer or their family members, and what happens is they undergo a kind of chemo because their cells are looking strange, and these certain cells look like they could turn into, they're precancerous cells. So if that's what's happening and nobody else is standing, then what's going to happen to the monarchy? It doesn't look good. And so I was saying that there are calls clamoring right now for the return of Prince Harry. They don't seem to be calling much for the Princess Royale of Nigeria to be coming back, but there are definitely calls for Harry to come back. And we've talked about that in the past, but you see it every day. We have a hole in our hearts the size of Prince Harry. Harry and Meghan did so much for the monarchy. There's this vacuum I've heard. I've seen polls out there that are talking about the absence, and nobody's got that shine. Princess Meghan has that shine. Prince Harry has that shine. And not only do they have that shine, but I'm going to say this, and this might seem controversial, but Prince Harry works like an American. Is that? He has the work ethic of a kind of capitalist. He gets out there and, we saw him not be still with respect to Invictus Games. We saw him not be still with respect to lots of his charities. We saw him not be still with respect to taking a trip to Nigeria. We see him developing an entire program, or we understand that he's developing an entire program for Netflix around polo. Do you know what that is going to do for the world of polo in this United States, and not only here? Around the world, we're going to have people who are engaging in this sport of all different ethnicities and backgrounds and financial statuses, and they are going to be moving into the polo world in the same way that we saw people start to, at least with interest. It's harder to do Formula One, but there are polo yards in lots of places around the country. I would say that it's a lot cheaper than trying to get into Formula One, and that sport is going to blow up in a way that Prince Harry is going. I'm just imagining right now in this moment. If you don't want to see Prince Harry in the headlines in the UK because he's taking up too much space, do you know what the headlines for Formula One look like? Do you know when he's the face of polo, not only in these United States where we live, but also in the UK, in Australia, in South Africa, in all of these spaces, he is going to be bringing polo to the world in a way that we've never seen it. He is going to be flattening the world of polo, and people are going to start using the lingo. People are going to start going and attending the games. They're going to be building new polo yards all around the world. If they were afraid of his shine, they ain't seen nothing yet, right? My mom used to say, watch my smoke. If you've ever had the opportunity, even in images and in videos, to see Prince Harry and do his thing, he generally wins. He's got that thing, that competitive spirit that allows him to go out in the polo world and in the world in general and do his thing on the polo field, in the world of like where he cares about wounded warriors. Look what he did for Invictus. One young man created an entire Wounded Warriors games that has the respect of the world. That one thing alone, I think that one thing alone would be enough, right? But he didn't stick to that one thing. He continued to work and work and work, and look what he's done. And now I say, and if you guys agree, can you guys like put a Prince Harry in the chat, please? If you agree that if you believe that what Harry has done just with Invictus, that he's going to make a parallel move in the world of polo, and polo is going to be coming to all of these villages, and it's going to be on TV sets and computers and phones all over the world. This is what I think, right? Did we get an update on the health? I'm sorry I missed that. I was kind of out here thinking about Prince Harry. I'm just going to say I am Prince Harry. There's no need for me to understand, but it feels like, I will say, it feels like what King Charles suffers with is, an initial wound of neglect, right? He did not necessarily have the opportunity or have a secure attachment. So when his mama was in the room, he was probably, allegedly, holding on to her, and if she walked away as a baby, he may have started crying, and she couldn't leave the room without him crying. And so when she returned from the room, then he would stand there next to her and be upset, potentially. This is what happens with attachment issues and kiddos who have insecure attachments or different other kinds of attachment challenges. They stand next to their mother, and then after that, they don't want their mom to leave. They're afraid. They have this anxiety, and they're mad, so they're angry, and they also want her to be held at the same time. I'm inspired by the kindness, Joyce Andrews says, I'm inspired by the kindness of Meghan, even though the stumbling blocks are forever thrown in her path. She is a warrior. Yes, she absolutely is. And look at the irony. Look at the intersection of these warriors. She intersects perfectly with her husband, Prince Harry, who is a literal warrior, who literally went to war and did a lot of work with respect to, for his country, right? And so you have her as a warrior princess and him as a warrior prince who come together, and look at the magic that they make. Look at the magic that they make in everything they touch. I have heard so much about Meghan's podcast, and you're just like, she be Joe Rogan. And then from my memory, the Queen passed away. What would it look like? What would it have looked like for her to air episodes of her podcast during the time of QE2's death? I believe, based on the evidence that I've seen, that she would have been mercilessly attacked. Just nonstop for a podcast that she had a contract running with to continue running during this time of mourning, if you will. And so, but now she can still do, and she is going to be doing. And also Spotify is having a lot of financial challenges. They pay a few people allegedly who are at the top, and they have very little room for anybody else. So their chief podcasting person is Joe Rogan. He streams pretty much year round. If she's only going to be giving them 14, 20, 12, 20 episodes, that's not the same as giving them episodes 300 days a year. And if they have a $200 million contract with him for, let's say, 275 episodes, they can't really afford to give her one that's that lucrative based on the amount of episodes that she does. And they're having a lot of artists that are rebelling, taking their music down. And I believe, if you're familiar with India Arie, then you understand that she took her music down because she's talked about them getting paid. And I'm not going to remember the figure exactly right, but it's something like not even 1/100th of a penny, but 1/100th of 1/100th of a penny every time people stream. So these artists are making nothing, and the bulk of the monies from these streaming services like Meghan worked for are going to people, like few people. It was a Drake. Kendrick took care of that, if you will, allegedly. It was a Beyonce. a Taylor Swift, a Joe Rogan. That's where the bulk of Spotify's money is going. And so if he has a $200 million deal, they have bills to pay. They can't afford to pay. And so now you're seeing this artist rebellion that's happening just across the board. So anyway, so with respect to Prince Harry, I have this belief, like if your whole identity, if your whole self-worth is caught up in what I'm doing, that's going to be problematic for you, because you can't control or in what another individual's doing, not me specifically. If your self-worth is caught up in what is Oprah Winfrey doing, if your self-worth is caught up in what is Rihanna doing, or Beyonce, or Taylor Swift, or any person, Joe Rogan, Kendrick Lamar, Drake, then, and they're getting coverage in the media, and you're not, you can't control that. What you can control is a part of yourself. You can't even control all of yourself, right? We think we're in control, and then our brains and our bodies tell us, actually, right now, I know you have this big thing going on, but I'm having an anxiety attack. No, I'm hungry right now. No, I have to, use the facilities or whatever it is. We're in control of a part of ourselves. You twist your ankle and you think you're in control, and your ankle's like, no, actually. So these are the things. And so what I'm thinking about too is, like, my mom would say, like I said, watch my smoke. So with respect to Prince Harry, if you were caught up, if your whole identity is caught up in, I don't want the newspapers covering him, I'm going to have a contract with the media that's going to say, we will report on all of these things, and we will make up, and we will not fix things that are untrue. Now, when he comes to the U.S., and he's over here with A-listers, and he's over here doing things because he's the A-lister because of what he does, not who he aligns himself with. People want to align themselves with people like Prince Harry and Princess Meghan because they understand what they will do for their brand, because they are the brand. If you can get close to that brand and approximate that brand, then that's what's happening right now. And so that's why my thesis is that when Prince Harry gets on those polo fields and puts out those episodes, there's nothing, for a particular time every year from now on, let's say 3 months, they're going to be running polo games, right? And then for another particular time at a certain time of year, every so many years, 4 years, they're going to be running the Invictus games, right? So boo-hoo for you, that's in a certain year, that might take up 4 or 5 months worth of time, because you have pre-ceremonies and post-ceremonies, and and then you have his wife doing her cooking show. You're going to have his wife developing other kinds of programming. So if your goal was to have them leave so that you could get more shine, it would have been smarter, I'm going to say allegedly, had you had them close by. If you considered them your enemies, if you considered them people that you wanted to push down, if you're in charge of a certain kind of organization, you would have gotten to control that, and by controlling them. And so you would have been much better off potentially if your goal was just to not have them shine, if you allowed them to stay in the circle. And now that they're out, now that they have Omid Scobie found freedom, I don't think that they're ever going to come back in the way that you want them to. Do I think that Prince Harry would consider going home if his father got really sick to help out with certain things? Do I think that if something happened to Princess Kate that was not above board and someone had to step in and be Prince Regent in the most extreme of circumstances, I believe that he would step up for his family in that way so that the monarchy didn't fall or fail. But I don't think that he would just voluntarily go back to do those things, right? So I think that Prince Harry's doing wonderful work, and I think that the palace made a tremendous mistake when they asked for them to leave, and when they made it impossible with respect to the newspapers for them to live a certain kind of life. Because we also saw that too when Prince Harry returned for Invictus, having, trying to have a relationship with his father and meet with him for 45 minutes. You ain't got time for that? Like, really? Okay, I don't know how many of you have seen Hamilton at all, however you've watched it. But, the world is watching. History has his eyes, says Lin-Manuel Miranda. History has his eyes on us. And so history is watching and listening and documenting in a way that has never been done the things that are happening with respect to King Charles and Prince Harry. And not only that, people are forming opinions about the way that King Charles has dealt with Harry as a father. We all love the whole, my darling boy, darling boy. Is he a darling boy in more than words, though? Is he a darling boy when other people are like, we love Harry, Harry's our favorite royal? Is he a darling boy when you decide that you're going to have a contract with people who went against Prince Harry and his wife and his family, to the point of his personal family losing a child, and you already understand that his mother lost her life with respect to the way she was treated with the paparazzi or the paparazzo, doing whatever they needed to do, going outside of these any bounds that are okay, and using extraordinary means to get photographs of her. Were those photographs, those salacious photographs, worth the price that she had to pay? Right? So I don't think that they were, and I don't think that Prince Harry would say that. And so now that she has done the work that they're out here in the world shining in a certain way, you can't put that light back in the bottle. You can't put the genie back in the bottle. You can't and then, is it karma that has moved into these spaces that is causing the family to have to rethink not only bringing them back, but is there any judgment about what have we done? Do you guys think that there's been a judgment by Prince Charles around, what have I done to my child? Not only is my child, 9-hour phone call, 9 to 10 hours phone call away from me, so I have to time the time that I call if I'm doing that. But also, he can't just get in the car and pop up and come and play chess with me, can't have breakfast with me, can't go out I know they like to hunt. That's something that I understand that family has done for generations. Can't go and, do anything with me easily. And then when my darling boy shows up, what do? I ignore him, and I think that it's I think that it's a good thing for me to say, you know what, deuces, Harry, we'll catch you next time, right? So, yeah. So I'm going to keep going, and I wanted to talk a little bit about a lot of the other things that have been happening. So find a comfortable position, and let's get ready. So let me do the non-denominational prayer and meditation, because we're going to get into it. So I'm going to say, for right now, we're going to do square breath, right? So in, hold, exhale, hold. Again, in, hold, exhale, hold. I'm going to do a 4 count. So inhale, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 2, 3, 4. Hold empty, 2, 3, 4. We're going to do that 2 more times. Inhale, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 2, 3, 4. Hold empty, 2, 3, 4. Last time. This time take a deep breath, cleansing breath in. 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Exhale all of the bad stuff. 2, 3, 4, and hold empty. That's typically the hardest part. 2, 3, 4. I hope that you're feeling better after that. Let me just say our non-denominational prayer. I haven't forgotten about that. So to everyone in the chat and beyond, may we be guided by wisdom and compassion. May our words bring light and understanding. And may we remain open-hearted and open-minded in all that we do. So I'm going to get into some of these trolls or alleged trolls that have to do with the title of our episode, Trolls Ain't Loyal, or These Trolls Ain't Loyal, right? So, do we know Angela, guys? Let's see, Connie said, oh yes, I am Prince Harry and Princess Meghan combined. Yes! Yes, Connie, thank you so much. I see another one coming up. Somebody put something in the chat so it'll come up enough for me to read it. So I want to begin with talking about Angela, right? Speaking of trolls, we know that Angela was called a troll recently, and that was like one of my best moments of 2024 was when Angela was on the talk show, and I think she thought she was going to be supported in all of these opinions, and she wasn't. So let's talk about Angela Levin. Angela Levin, let's talk about you. Angela Levin once claimed, Meghan is self-centered and everything is always about her. Really, Angela? This from someone who built a career obsessively criticizing a woman she doesn't even know? This, Angela? Angela, your relentless bashing allegedly crosses the line from critique to character assassination. I'm going to say it's pathetic. Really, how you cling to outdated stereotypes to fuel your commentary. The nerve of you going on that show and believing that it was going to be a time where your beliefs were not called into question. I think that moment was in a way ordained by the universe. I think the universe has had enough, ordained by God, ordained by ancestors, ordained by spirits, ordained by the community at large. People are sick and tired. If you know that Erykah Badu song, I'm getting tired of your ish, right? So I think that people in media, the people versus Angela, we are tired. A lot of us are tired of the garbage that you spew. And once in a while, you will be going about your normal course of life for people who are into meanness and cruelty, and somebody is going to have time for you. And let me tell you, one day in April, another journalist who's on your network had time. And I was, I don't know if you have ever seen, any of you have seen praise dancing. I was literally praise dancing and watched that clip. And I think it was at least 10 minutes, 15 minutes. It wasn't that long. 5 minutes over and over and over again. Because I was like, whoa, this was like a moment in time that I wanted to revel in. And somebody called her behavior into question and said in a sentence that she was trolling. And I was just like, whoa, thank you. So how many of you have seen that interview and felt a kind of way? I still can't see what Gwen Daniels said. I am Prince Harry and brilliant, and that's all I can see. So if you were celebrating that moment, can you guys please say so in the chat? It really helps me when you do. I feel more motivated in this work if you guys could do that. So yeah. Another, Meghan people have been out here. Let's see, I think I just saw it. Yes, I am Prince Harry and brilliant Meghan. Thank you so much. And she is brilliant, right? And we watch her and we support her because she is brilliant. We watch her, we support her, we ride for her, we learn about her, we do all of these things out here because she inspires us. And, if there were no Meghan in the way that there is, there would not be a squad. If there were no Meghan in the way that Meghan exists today, we would not have formed a community. Tina and Michelle would not have come together to say, you know what, we're taking back this space, we're taking back this narrative against our family, we're taking back this narrative, and you guys will not talk crap about Meghan anymore. I am Prince Harry. Okay, I saw that Prince Harry, brilliant Meghan, and brilliant Meghan. Clever Blend sold out in the UK. Do you know how they must have felt when that happened, right? And every time she wears something, I was, doing research and looking for outfits for today, like a white suit, and I saw another person who likes to dress like her in so many things that were almost exactly the same, and it was wild. Yes, clever. She's got like the Spotify podcast went to #1. Let's not even get into Suits. Like, I mean, yes. but let's not even get into what Suits did for television. Suits has lifted up an entire network to, around the world. There's a bidding war in the UK of all places, in the way that that media over there allegedly tries to hate on her. Why was there a bidding war for Suits? Like, the irony is, like, so interesting, BM. Like, there's a stench of something, right? So it was just so interesting to see the bidding war. Oh, her show doesn't mean anything. And then Patrick J. Adams talking about, like, why she is the reason that Suits has had its meteoric rise. And, but she's nobody. Like, nobody cares about her. Yeah, then why have so many people taken, to watching Suits, not once, not twice, over and over and over again? Because even the character that she played on Suits was meaningful and impactful. And we can ask Prince William about that, perhaps. Like, what's your view of Meghan's character on Suits? Why did you think she was so great? Like, wouldn't that be an interesting interview to have someone interview question? We read in Spare that you used to watch Suits every week and thought that Meghan's character was so great. Like, can you talk to us about that a little bit? And it could have been so great in real life had they decided that they didn't, instead of not liking her shine, had they decided to embrace this thing and let some of this shine rub off on me, right? And they decided not to do that. Meghan is beautiful, Connie Ballmer, and smart. I miss those ladies. That show was all of them. Gina Torres went on to have her own show. I think that if she were to have her own show today, that it would be a lot more successful. I would love to see Meghan go back in some way for, let's say, in a kind of spin-off, at least once, in the kind of way that Queen Charlotte has been out. One more time, just give us 10 episodes of you and Patrick J. Adams, and, like, let us know what you're doing. But how interesting and how wonderful would that have been if, instead of saying, you know what, we're not getting enough attention in the media, allegedly. You're taking all of our shine, allegedly. We need to do something about it. We're going to, I know I said with my brother that I'm never going to have this pact and use the media against him. If you could have gone against the media, do you know what her shine could have done for you? If you had even just talked about her role on Suits and how that can empower women, how you hope that inspires Charlotte eventually. Connie, me too, all the swearing. So, yes, I was glued to Suits just to watch her, absolutely. Because what she did was transform, for a lot of us, the ways, like, she transformed television. We saw her go from being paralegal to, on the show. And we also saw her embrace her family. They didn't have someone come on and say, oh, she's Italian or she's this or that. I'm sure if they had tried, she wouldn't have allowed that, right? Even BBC bought rights of Suits to watch Meghan. Who else? Yes, absolutely. And they were having that bidding war. I'm still watching their documentary and archetypes. I mean, what she's done for media, what Meghan has done for women, what, like, in Suits, in Clever, even her participating in Clever and doing a silly little goofy commercial. She's teaching us to be ourselves. She's teaching us what's possible in the world of, like, money. Like, we can take care of ourselves. We can, and then quality. Like, she doesn't just go out and say, I'm aligning myself with any organization, any group that wants to have me featured. No, she's very targeted, and she's very specific about who she aligns herself with, because she understands that she is the brand. And by endorsing these things, she's putting her name out there, and she's telling us in the squad and people, writ large, that these are things to embrace. And so I just, for a moment, again, just what could it have been had they, even if it's sinister, I'm going to let her shine, infuse me, even if it's like that. And you get to know this woman, even if these are the things that you're thinking about. I don't know that she could have touched you without allowing you to grow emotionally and spiritually too, right? I think that to know and to be around Princess Meghan would be to be around somebody great who is also aspirational and inspirational at once. How many people exist in the world? And just to see what they've done, these trolls ain't loyal, right? To see what they've done to our Princess Duchess. And like, pick one of these three that are, and anybody else who is in the media. Meghan made Kate cry. She was so mean at the wedding that she made Kate cry. Actually, it was the opposite. The opposite was true. She made me cry. Oh no, war, you shouldn't have ever revealed that. Really? But while you have people literally out here maligning my character and making up stories when you know I'm the victim, victimizing me, and then you're telling me I can't even control my story or make it clear what really happened. No, I don't think so. Then you got that one in the middle. Ugh. That is she a troll, guys? Are you familiar with the three amigos? What she does every day, every time you see her, she's a parallel to a kind of alleged Clarence Thomas-like figure. She goes against, in my mind, the Duchess, because representation matters. So if I stand here and I say these bad things, I can be a proxy for other people who look like me and allow you to spew your kind of hate and say that, yeah, us people too, we agree. I'll take that money, allegedly, and I'll allow you to say these things. And not only will I allow you to say these things, I will speak for a whole community in saying these things too, that will also allow you to use your stereotypes and your racism against the Princess Duchess, if you will, allegedly, right? So we've seen people like her, and we've seen people like the first one, and we also saw the other person who has been obsessed. Meghan could have, let's see, Sam said Meghan could have taught Kate how to talk. When she said, oh, that's baby brain. You have a whole human pass through your body, taking up 40% of your energy. Of course you're going to be affected by it. Of course your hormones are going to be off balance. Everything's going to be off balance when this person who also has a kind of parasitic relationship with you inside of your body, they're taking your food, they're taking your energy, they are literally eating off of you, right? And when they come out, there's a similar kind of relationship for women who breastfeed, that there's a kind of consuming of the mother that's going on. Of course you're going to be tired. Of course you're not going to think the same way that you think allegedly before the pregnancy, during the pregnancy, and after this child has been released from the body, and whether or not they're still, and that you're going to have hormone imbalances around the breastfeeding, which is going to make it better if you're doing that, and then potentially postpartum and all of those things allegedly. So to be offended by that, okay, you're allowed to be that. Ask for clarification, perhaps. Yasmin says, Prince Harry would make any parent proud. It's a shame his father's jealousy, thank you so much, can't allow himself to acknowledge his brilliance. It's his loss. Others have seen it and are proud of him. Absolutely, right? What was he called out here in the media, right? In the BM. I don't like BM, guys. I know it's necessary. But what was he called out here in the British media, in the BM? It was said that he wasn't very bright. Well, dang, can I be Prince Harry's kind of not bright? How would the world benefit from being Prince Harry's kind of not bright? We know he's brilliant. Look what he's done again with anything that he touches. We see that he has a beautiful mind, and we also see that he has a beautiful heart, because they have decided to continue doing the work. They were doing it before, right? Following in the line of his mother, the Spencer, and following in her, Meghan also is following the line of her mother and her grandmother. The nurse, the social worker, and the philanthropist. We have Meghan following in the same line as Doria, the social worker / therapist, and her grandmother, the nurse. And so when you bring these two people who have these values, Princess Diana's value around, holding babies with AIDS, and it was called AIDS then, like at that point, when people didn't even have a clear understanding of how it was going to, around the world, not scientists that I think at that point, didn't have a clear, and she's like, these kids need to be held. And so she's holding on to what people would have considered the least of these so that people would begin to have more compassion around kiddos who were sick, right? And so she's teaching us a lesson. So Harry's getting these lessons as a youngster. He's seeing his mama do these kinds of things. And the legacies live on in the work that she did. And the legacies live on in him with respect to the work that she did. I believe I see Harry doing the same work that his mother did. Harry is a Spencer. And also, Harry's an influencer. So watch what he can do again with polo. Watch how that polo will begin to also impact Invictus. Don't tell me that people who are working, in polo won't want to also align themselves, contribute to, and assist the Invictus Games. We've got a whole nation of people building facilities and doing things in order to bring games there to their country, right? And because they understand the impact. They also understand the impact beyond the global stage, but on a population around doing good things for their population. So, if I can erase the stigma, if we start with the Princess Diana, if I can erase the stigma of AIDS in babies, if I can, Prince Harry, erase the stigma around being a wounded veteran, and not only that, if I can help bring mental health or mental wellness to these people who are suffering, my people that I fought with, if I can contribute, I'm going to do that. And, you see his partner doing the same kind of work and also following in a line of people. And if we know that Princess Meghan's grandmother was a nurse, what do we imagine that her great-grandmother did? We know that, I believe that her great-grandmother would likely have been in either a caring profession or a caring person, even if the profession was not recognized, even if she couldn't have, if her grandmother was born around 29, and then her mama was born, in 57, we understand that generation before that her grandmother would have learned from that person too. So we understand that Meghan is in a long line of people, and Prince Harry is also, they're following in the footsteps of their parents, their grandparents. And Queen Elizabeth, she went to different places, and I'll say that. And I think that there was, after the death of QE2, some conversations around what did she do in her life, if you will. And you guys can say, if you think that she did. I'm buying a t-shirt with the B6. Scotty, I'm sorry, I missed that first thing you said. Oh no, I can't see it. I see an emoji though. Yay. I'm buying a B6. Yes. Somebody said that. They forgot that Jasmine forgot one of the B's. I won't say which one. None of these trolls can't hold a candle to Meghan's light on this world. Absolutely. Hi, Professor. I love your podcast from San Francisco. Thank you so much. Joyce, thank you so much. I really appreciate you guys. You guys are amazing. And I just really wanted to be able to speak to the impact of Meghan, Harry, and I'm going to use their names that are not necessarily strictly their government names, but Meghan and Harry, because they're our friends, and their impact on us and their impact on the world. I think that from a distance, when Harry was young, I watched him grow up. I watched and was heartbroken and believed the people of the UK meant it when they said never again. And then what happens? He marries a woman that that's not their choice, if you will. She's a foreigner. She's a descendant of Africa. She is not, she's whatever that they're saying she is. And so we're upset, we're and so you have these people on, these trolls in the media, if you will, coming up with these narratives. That's not what the media is supposed to do. So let me say it this way. That's not what journalists are supposed to do. Tabloid journalists, that's something else. In the U.S., and I think in lots of other countries around the world, when I travel, I don't typically try and pick up one of the tabloids. So I don't know what they do in places I've traveled. But tabloids are different, right? But I think in the UK it's something different, that people in the UK look at tabloid journalism as a parallel to, a New York Times or a Washington Post, that they understand that there are conservative publications and more liberal ones. But I think that tabloids are considered a kind of truth there in a way that they're not considered truth over here, right? So I think that, we see, when I see an Inquirer, when I see a New York Post, when I see mostly Rupert Murdoch publications, I've never purchased one. I don't even read them in the lines in grocery stores. I just understand in my own mind that they're salacious, that they make up things, and that they're not to be believed. It is, in my opinion, allegedly, I think that Rupert Murdoch's tabloids are designed to bring his vision of the world into being. So we have these principles. We don't like Meghan because we are conservative in a way that says that we don't allegedly like the people that she comes from. Isn't it interesting that, he's here? So many of these people who own these magazines or who have these viewpoints have migrated to the United States. Thank you so much, world, for sending us your your discards, or allegedly, whatever we want to call them. Like, why do they end up here? And the things that they do, they work and they don't work. So, like with Elon Musk came to this country and he bought Twitter, which is when I got off. Because I'm like, really? With his viewpoints, what is this thing going to turn into? And what has it turned into? A kind of cesspool, a kind of place where tabloid, not even journalism, tabloid opinions come out. And he said that he believed in freedom of speech. And so he was going to take down or dismantle that part. And he has. Except when you're talking about positive Meghan channels. Except when you're talking, and even when he went on Don Lemon's show, that was, I think, on Twitter, like he was paying Don Lemon for about one day, and when Don Lemon interviewed him with his whole belief system allegedly in freedom of speech, he canceled Don Lemon's show because he couldn't handle somebody asking him questions that were not going to make him be seen in a certain kind of light. So we understand too that when we see these, and we saw Piers Morgan run off an entire show when being questioned about his behavior. That was one of that, again, if we stack these moments up, we can have a thank you so much, Connie. Oh, I love you, Church Nelly. Yes, we do. Thank you so much. I love the kitty. I had Siamese once, Lily and Asa. So thank you so much. Yeah, we get out here and we see what they have. We see what they have done, right? I don't know what that noise was, but we see what they have done to in American media. I'm still coming down from that little high, Connie. Thank you so much. We've seen Twitter and the turn that it has taken to become this kind of, it's really showing on, it's a puppy showing on my screen right now. But we saw the turn that Twitter took. It went from this lovely little birdie who was chirping about things that were significant to this sort of, I'm going to take Malcolm's X. I will always say that. Twitter took Malcolm's X, and Elijah Muhammad named him Malcolm X because Elijah talked about, during this time, lots of African Americans in particular didn't know what their last name was, because immediately when they got off of these ships, they became the property of and ended up taking the surname of. And so Elijah Muhammad said, you don't know your name, so we're going to call you X, and that X was representative of a lot of things. And I love that X, says Elon Musk allegedly, and I'm going to have SpaceX, and I'm going to call Twitter X. And not only am I going to do that, but I'm going to take the entire design of Spike Lee's movie campaign Malcolm X and use that particular X for Twitter, like of all the colors, of all the styles. Yeah. So anyway, I will never call that network that. And as soon as he bought it, I'm like, I know it's going to turn. And then you start to see the things coming up on Twitter, right? And it has changed. It is not a public, it's supposed to be a public square where people can engage in dialogue that's healthy, that helps us grow and think and get better and understand our friends and understand our neighbors. And it goes from being this kind of public square to being this kind of place that feels unsafe to me. Because like I said, like earlier, years ago, let's say 2016, 2017, but I think 2016, 17 in particular, when the Duchess when that relationship was acknowledged, first in a tiny part, and then when it was really acknowledged, when I saw the people start to come for her, and then we hear the narratives around, oh, we treated you this way, we paid for your wedding, and they wanted a quiet little celebration. They didn't want that, but they understood and were told that what this wedding would do for the country as a whole. And it has, for a while it did benefit the country as a whole. People did start saying, oh, wow, the UK is not what it used to be. It's very different. It's very welcoming. But again, out here in these Twitter streets, the trolls were doing overtime. And I was just like out here, doing that, right? Sorry if I did something on the screen. Just out here typing and typing and typing and taking on these people. And if you guys were taking on these people, can you put let's say a 3 in the chat if you were taking on the Twitter trolls and you were out here on Insta, was Insta even a thing, or in any of these spaces defending the Duchess. And then one sweet day, is that a Mariah Carey song? One sweet day, Tina and Michelle, it might have been through a tweet, like there's this space that exists in the world where the Sussex, we are a squad. I'm not alone. We are a squad. And let me just say, Joyce Medici says, my prayers are with you, Church. Yeah, let's just take a moment to acknowledge Church Nelly. I am worried. I am still worried. And if you guys have said in the chat that she's doing okay or not doing okay, I just want to just take a minute and send out good energy to Church Nelly. She's out here doing yeoman's work every single day. What she does for Duchess Meghan and Princess Meghan, and you can't measure it. She fights, like, how Kendrick Lamar's Kung Fu Kenny? She could easily be Kung Fu Nelly. She's out here in these streets taking on trolls and, taking away all their powers for us in these streets for Meghan and for Harry. She's out here all the time doing this kind of work, and we want her to be okay. We want her to feel our presence, right? We want her to feel like she's loved, that we have well wishes for her, and that we have hopes. We need her to come work. I mean, she's not one of my mods, but we need her out here in these streets. And we know that she wouldn't be doing this work if she didn't love the squad, if she didn't love the Princess Duchess, if she didn't love, all of you, all of us. She wouldn't be out here doing this kind of work. You see Church Nelly's name in all of these. Just, I see her name in so many of the podcasts, in so many spaces, because she cares so much about all of you. She wants you to be able to have an experience that's safe. She doesn't want Meghan and Harry to experience the kind of bombardment of, evil people or meanness, cruelty. And so, you guys have said she uses troll spray. So, yeah, our prayers are with you, Church Nelly. So, yeah, I just wanted to send that out and acknowledge her again, because she is great, just like all of you are great. And so, yeah, so out here in these streets, when Elon Musk was out here doing his thing, I was just like, not Elon, when I was on Twitter and people would be saying all these cruel things. First of all, I just didn't understand where it was coming from. 33333, thank you. Prince Harry, yay. When these things were happening I didn't understand why, I guess I didn't want to, but I remember that feeling of, why are they being so cruel to her? Right? Praying for Church Nelly. Yes, say her name, guys. Say her name. You know, that's what we do. We say her name because we want her to be okay. So when we're out here, I was just like, I was taken aback by all the hate. And then, like Ta-Nehisi Coates said when he was talking about a trip that he made, he said, oh, I understand this. Yeah, I'm familiar with this. I'm from the U.S. and I know what this is. Didn't want to recognize it as racism because it did. It had a particular sting. Like, you think that you're getting past something and you see things that have all the signs and you're like, no, I'm tired. I don't want to deal with that. Can we, there's been this whole talk of a post-racial America after Barack Obama's presidency. We understand that's not true because we see who got elected next, and we also see that even if you're not, a person who spews hate, you have to be okay with it to be okay with him. So, again, out here in the Twitter streets, when I first saw the media, the people who were, doing their thing on these media sites, I was just heartbroken. Like, why? What is it? What did she do? And then, it's like having a conversation with your kids, or you have to come to the realization so that you can understand it. And if you don't understand it, you can't effectively deal with it. That, yep, this is what it is. And because I understand this is what it is, I understand that this is what it ain't. Like, this other thing is not what it is. And so what do we do when we have to deal with the kind of hurt that happens because you exist? Because most of the attacks, I don't know any that have happened to her that haven't happened to Meghan around her, not just people not wanting her to exist. It takes me back to And Still I Rise. You may write me down in history with your bitter, twisted lies, right? You may trod me in the very dirt, but still like dust I rise. I see, praying for Church Nelly. God bless her. Absolutely, I'm praying for Church Nelly. Sending love to Church Nelly. Yes, let Church Nelly know that. In the squad, inside of the Sussex Studio Experience podcast. Experience taken from the Jimi Hendrix experience. For all of you new people out here in the squad, if you're here for the first time, please know that you are welcome. Know that this is a space where we have intelligent dialogue, where we love on each other, where we hold each other up, where we acknowledge and we think and we work. Like Toni Morrison said, Jerron Coco has heard this every day. Work and think at the top of your form. These are not my words, and I use them. These are Toni Morrison's words. What else can we ask of children and ourselves except to work and think at the top of our form, right? And so for Church Nelly, we are going to send good vibes. We're going to work. We're going to think. We're going to pray. We're going to send whatever energies we can so that she knows this is what we do in the squad. And if you haven't been over to the community page, guys, go over there to our community page on the squad and take a look. I came up with a kind of Sussex Studio Experience podcast Bill of Rights, and I wanted to see what you guys think of it. And the first tenets have to do with just us doing that thing, loving and sending out light to each other, because I want this to be a space, and we have made it a space of love, of intentionality, of deep conversations, of fighting back against the trolls. Hopefully when you leave this space, when we leave this space, we feel more shored up in the world. We feel better about being a member of the squad, and we've been through it, right? We've had some trials over the last month, and we came through, and I think we understand better now how to have the conversation with each other when things are tough. We understand how to love on each other better. We understand that we have differences in the squad, that we are not a monolith, and that we all have experiences and tools that we bring to this space that allow us to show up in a certain way. And we also, in your conversations inside of the chat, You guys transform me, and we're transforming each other with every single word that we say, with every single prayer that we utter, with every single bit of insight. When you guys always know when I don't know. Like, what are those receipts? Somebody will invariably, inevitably put the receipt inside the chat and remind me and let me know, yep, it was that. And I thank you so much for that, because you guys are amazing. Hello. Hello, Professor Zinzi, says Louise. Hello. I just have been thinking, and these three, again, I haven't even switched slides up. Guys have been these three, the slides are very similar. But yeah, so these three that are on the screen right now, they have been the main culprits out here harming our our Duchess, or trying to, with their words and with their misinformation. Again, with one of them saying, "Oh, Meghan made Kate cry." Really? And the other one, "Yes, I agree. She's an awful person," allegedly. And then the other one wrapping their whole life up in her and ending up losing their whole job. How did Meghan win? Was it ancestors who were like, today we got time, we're going to take a little bit of time away from these storms and whatever else we're working on to bring him some of this heat. So Maya Angelou said, "You may encounter many defeats, but you must not be defeated." So that was our first one that we sort of stepped on. You guys know this. Did you know? Rumors suggest a secret contract between the BM and the royal family to target Meghan and Harry. Right? Joyce says something. Yeah, Polo's going to help with mixing of all races and maybe bring us a little bit closer together. I absolutely agree that Polo's going to do that. I think that Harry, in particular, that we don't even understand at this moment how big it's going to be. And is this me like having hyperbole? I don't think it is. I think that we've seen Meghan's impact on Suits, and I think that on Suits and in other space, like just like Meghan had the impact of being the most watched show in history, right? And having bidding wars. We don't hear about bidding wars for TV shows anymore, right? This is one of the first ones that I've ever seen, about some person who's irrelevant. Also, right? You guys need to say more in the chat. Gwen Daniel thought the chat was dead. I think that's because people were listening, and sometimes you guys have your own conversations going on. Great podcast, says Wilson. Thank you so much. I just think that the impact, because again, we've talked about the glow up that Meghan gave to Harry, not only in his physical appearance, right? Because I know I go on and on about that sometimes, that I think Harry is the sexiest man alive. And it is the love. It is, he looks like he's fit, and his clothing, his fit is also fit, right? He's looking amazing. And the glow that he has is not unlike a pregnant person in their, at the end of their first trimester, when they're starting to just feel themselves a little bit and they're happy and the hormones are hormoning. This is what he looks like. And that is the thing that makes him the sexiest man alive, and the impact that she's had on him there. We see what he's done with Invictus. I think he will have a parallel kind of experience with Princess Meghan to her experience on Suits. We're going to see that thing explode. Hopefully he buys some stock in whatever the thing that it becomes, because it is not going to ever be the same after this Netflix show comes out. Kids are going to be asking for jerseys and polo merchandise, like the polo shirts, and it's going to have whatever Prince Harry's team is. These things are going to just explode. And I agree. I absolutely agree that they're going to explode in a way that's going to make the sport be worth billions of dollars. So if Harry hasn't gotten in, if there's an opportunity for me to even put $100 in it, I'm going to do it. I might get 10,000. I'm not offering any kind of stock advice. This is a disclaimer, right? Yes. So, Professor Zinzi, I must say you have a beautiful laugh. Thank you so much, Connie. And guys, if you just spotlighting Connie for a second. I remember my first live show. I was if you've been here before, you know I have anxiety until I start, even after I'm podcasting for a few. Connie was there, and I'm like, the superstar is here. And there are a few of the, and it's because I think a lot of people don't, a lot of us, like including myself, like to sit back and just, but Connie is a day one. And from day one, Connie was out there just like lifting me up and giving me all this energy, and like it fills me up so much to think about. And like we do this in ways and we're not even aware of it. Like we make people feel good. Even if you pass someone on the street and you smile at them, you pass them and you say, oh, that's a nice belt, that's a nice hat, I like those shoes. You can make their day. And so Connie has done that for me in this space so much. And not only Connie, please don't feel like I'm not shouting you guys out. I'm just like in this moment thinking about Connie. And yeah, like she has made me feel like I'm worthy, like I can do this work, and like that this work has meaning. So I'm getting a little bit tearful right now around like how she has and how you guys make me feel in this space, how you show up, and you just make me feel good about the work that we've been doing. And so I just, yeah, and even in our work around church now. So I just want to, like, if you guys could give Connie some hearts out there and other people, while I recover, sending love and light and prayers to Church Nelly. Absolutely. Rafaela, Bertoni, brother. Yeah, because that's another thing we do. We hold each other up. Like, who will stand for Church Nelly? Somebody will. Somebody will stand and take the flag for Church Nelly, because we are the squad, right? If we're silent and we're just in our corners and we're not saying anything, your energy is filling me up. If we, say something in the comments, if we comment on a community post and say, you know what, this one ain't doing what you think it's doing, prof. I ain't really crazy about this one. You're helping, however you engage, you're helping the squad. If there's a troll out here in these streets, and you hit the like button, and guys, if you could, that would really go a long way to helping the channel too, with hitting the like button. But we hold each other up, and there ain't no squad like the Sussex Squad. It is such a beautiful place to exist in. It is such a beautiful community of people who have come together with a common purpose to do good, to learn, to keep receipts, to educate each other, and to support each other in a myriad of ways. And so, again, I just want to thank you guys for that. Even, and especially our words for Church Nelly. Like the fact that you remember and you are in touch with and you put prayers and hearts in the chat. I believe in energy. I think that, and let's say she doesn't hear about what you've done until she's a little bit better. To know if she goes and rewatches an episode, oh my goodness, and she sees what you guys have done and said about her. Can you imagine the impact that would have on you if you knew that when you were trying to get better, or as you try and recover, that people were saying your names and sending out good vibes and energy for you? And so again, we came together with a common purpose to support each other in this hard work. And it was the people who sat atop the squad were the people who came together for that purpose and said, okay, we're going to get a microphone, we're going to get online, and we're going to start talking. And in that talking, people started tweeting, people started saying, hey, there's this thing called the Sussex Squad. Do you know about it? No, I didn't know about it. What time? Sundays at 9, wherever you are in the world. Sundays at whatever time. It's in the morning on Sundays. I got time for that, before, if you go to church, or I'm going to watch the replay after church, or if you go to the mosque on Friday, whatever you do. Like I'm not going to work today, so I got time. I can watch it whenever. So they brought us together in a way, and they would be on, and they would be vibing, and they would be making us feel so good about our faves. They brought receipts, they brought experts, They had amazing talking points. They made us smarter. They asked us to contribute to the charities that Meghan and Harry supported. We had birthday parties. We contributed to charities based on people's birthdays. Like, it went from Prince Archie's birthday, and on and on and on. And so these are some of the things that we did. Yes, we squaddies are definitely here for each other. So Harry talked about in Spare, do you know, rumors suggest a secret contract between the BM, and the royal family to target Meghan and Harry. Meghan, however we want to say it, right? Because we understand that William, or Harry said in Spare, that he and his brother had a pact to never do this to each other. And now we understand, when they were there, this gets leaked, that gets leaked. And now we don't see any leaks. And it's so sad that what they could have been, they are existing and thriving separately, at least on this side of the pond. Meghan and Harry and Meghan are existing and thriving over here. And, when you think about what it could have been. Yeah, my sister-in-law was on Suits, and wow, we love that character. She was such a, powerful character, and look what she did, and that didn't happen. It didn't happen because, for whatever reason. It looks like jealousy. It looks like some more kind of sinister things happen. And so, for whatever reason, they decided, we don't like you, or we're going to report on you. After that, I think it was the Australia trip, when they did that tour and came back, everything changed. Not that there were not negative stories. There were lots of them. But it got really, really bad, in my opinion, after they had that trip. Right? Connie says, of course you're worthy, as every one of us is here. Let's pray for Nelly. Yes, we can do that. And I'm not, I ain't much about being a pastor. If you've seen Glory, right? So, God of the universe. Let's see, God of the universe. We come together today to ask for your help in bringing Church Nelly. God of the universe, we come together humbly asking for you to bring Nelly not only through the surgery, but to allow her to come through the surgery and be well as quickly as possible. That Church Nelly gets better, and that she's able to do all of the things that she loves and that she wants to do in a quick way, in a way that you see fit. We ask for you to allow her to feel better and to heal quickly. We humbly ask in your loving name. Amen. How's that? Thank you so much for that, Connie. Nelly is pure sunshine. Absolutely. Because she's always out here. She got work to do. She's out here in these streets doing all of this work. And again, she was always one of the names that I heard. I've been hearing for years, Church Nelly, Church Nelly, Church Nelly. There's a kind of a religious spirit that's associated with Church Nelly's name. And so if we're out here in these streets, there's certain names that come up that we hear over and over based on what they're doing inside of the squad. They're leaders in the squad, whether they realize it or not. And so, for all of the numbers of people who have heard, let's say that this channel has gotten 40,000, impressions or something. If their names have been uttered or heard by 40,000 people, there's a certain number of people who are also saying those names to other people, and kiddos who are in the house who hear these names and are like, oh, Church Nelly isn't feeling well. We should say a prayer. Or, how's Church Nelly? Is Church Nelly better? Or, they might say, Connie Balmer, if you will, right? So, yeah, we absolutely want to send out love and light to our people who are in the squad. And so again, what could it have been if there was not a kind of alliance, allegiance to people to try and do what? What is the goal? What was the goal of the troll, right? So if we're having a debate about the media ex-trolls or trolling, what were the goals of the media? To sell more newspapers, to get more engagement, and the engagement is going to make them more money, right? So, and it's also going to align with whatever their opinions are about the Princess Duchess. Did that work? Is that working? And another question that we could ask is, how different would it have been if instead of aligning with them, they could have taken it to the media themselves? And they could have said, they could have, not to the media, they could have created their own kind of media machine themselves that would talk back to. We saw Princess Meghan do that when they had their documentary. When she went on Oprah, there was a talking back to. And the interview it blew up. It was, viral isn't even the right word, right? And we saw in Prince Harry's book, Spare, we saw what happened with respect to the media when his book became, the best-selling nonfiction book of last year. We see, many of us bought 2 versions of it, the print, and we bought the audio book, because we wanted to hear him speak. We wanted to hear we not only wanted to hear his words, but we wanted to hear his words in his own voice. And so we bought the audiobook. And what did we get from that? We got a lot of lessons. We got a lot of information. And we also got the understanding that as much as he put in that book, at least 50% of it was left on the cutting floor. He said a lot of things that he needed to say. He got a lot of things out that he needed to get out. And he also didn't allow those things to get out. The things that are the most hard, the most horrific, our eyes never saw them. And at the same time, the things that our eyes saw taught us a lot of lessons. Just the fact that we know that there's so much more out there. He didn't reveal who the, alleged racists are in the family. He said with his own words, if it gets exposed, something like this, not exactly, but if it gets exposed, it will harm them, and I don't want to do that. And so it wasn't him. And so when we saw, the one version that came out, I think it was the Dutch version, and named people, we didn't hear pushing back around, no, actually it wasn't them. We never heard that. So then we were left to believe it, right? And after that happened, but for me, imagining what's not in the book is even scarier than what he revealed. Because he didn't get, I think most of the things were about his own life and his story. The dog bowl, though, that got to me. I'm still really? And so when you extrapolate what happened around, don't talk about my wife like that, allegedly, to what's happening right now, of course we're going to be thinking about what is potentially wrong with Princess Catherine, right? We're going to be thinking about that, is she okay? Because we understand, at least from Spare, and the media also likes to say, oh, William is so upset with Harry. Well, that's a thing. Is that something that's to be proud of, that somebody's upset with their brother and they're really angry? That is not something in 2024, I think, that goes over well with most people. Most people try to have a kind of existence where we're trying to be more healed. We're trying to put more positivity out in the space, and we want to grow. And so Harry's book, Spare, allowed Harry to talk back to the media sources. And, I don't know if he's going to have a second book. I don't think he will ever reveal to the media what happened in his life. I do think, though, that these things will come out. I think that as long as they are in print or they exist, there's the chance of them coming out against his will. But also, when we have children and we tell our children our stories, they often tell the stories later, even if it's after we're gone. So we might not ever be privy to what's happened to Harry. But if, the baby girl gets in a mood eventually and people are saying whatever, she may just want to tell, as she tells her story, the story of her father too, right? The whole family absolutely agree. That's why I'm sick of the drama around Kate. Yeah, it's a lot. But I think Harry's story, the fact that he told it also says that it will be told. We see it though too. We don't even have to hear it to understand that it not only exists, but it's painful. When we heard the whole thing about I squoze your knee after your mother died, I also didn't come and see you at the airport. Or I didn't allow you to come and see me when you were here for Wounded Warriors, so we could host Invictus here. Does that build a more trusting relationship where you want to have, where you want to be and bring the Invictus games there? Because there has to be a certain part of Prince Harry that's like, if my wife ain't gonna be safe, deuces. If I have an understanding that I don't care how much money you guys are gonna pay, I don't care how many stadiums you're going to build because other countries are vying to do the same thing, right? Go ahead and do that for the people, for the Warriors. And at the same time, my wife has to, she almost died. When people experience suicidal ideation, that's not a joke. It is a serious, serious thing. And people, leave this earth every day based on a whole lot of, negative things that happen. And so we saw Meghan not be protected. And we saw other people be protected. Even in this thing when we're being curious around, where is the Princess of Wales? Where is she? There's oh, don't talk about her. That's mean. You guys are bullying. We are genuinely concerned. A lot of us are genuinely concerned. Because how could a whole person just disappear for 6 months? And the precedent has been, okay, King Charles has been working the entire time. So you leave people to believe that she must be either really, really sick or something else, right? Because also the media narrative has also been one that has said, you work for us. We pay you, show us the receipt, show us the baby, show us that you don't. And so now the whole narrative that's coming out too, that she's not going to be coming back. So all of these things, if we haven't seen her, what do you want us to believe? We saw the Franken photo that came out where you took a bunch of different body parts and put them together. Hands off of, I don't know how many people, kiddos that the tooth hasn't grown in a year. What? That baby need to go to the dentist. And at the same time, we have this, I have this, I'll speak for myself. I have this angst around, and I'm not saying I'm in love with her or that. I just think she's a human being and entitled to the curiosity and safety that human beings should be entitled to. Nobody should be able to just disappear and for the, a whole country to say, believe us. And then to tell us, oh, she's not going to be back for 6 months, a year, or longer until 25. That makes no sense to me. At all. At all. So, I think, she was unkind. And I know this is gonna suck when I'm gonna say it anyway. When I think about people who are bullies and people who are cruel and even people who are racist, how must it suck to be them? If you're just like when people come over here and they spew hatred, right? Some days it can be overwhelming. Most days I'm alright. But how must it be to walk around with that albatross that's stinking and festering like the BM of hate? You have to walk around and smell that metaphorical corpse, that metaphorical, that is dying around your neck. It is a dying albatross and hopefully it's dying out in a larger way. And if it's not, what must it be like to be you, to walk around with that funky thing, infusing and people are like, I can't with her today because she's too much. She's toxic. They're toxic. People shut their doors, pretend they're not at home, turn you off when you come because nobody has time for that kind of hate in 2024. My comments are already being blocked. I haven't been on here ever. I don't know why your comments, I'm sorry, Joyce Medici. My comments are already being blocked. That must be YouTube. I'm not blocking anything. Mary Man, now she don't have to speak. Oh my God. Allegedly. Y'all got all kind of smoke. Ooh. Does anybody feel like it? Oh gosh. Does anybody feel like it must suck to be her though? Or to be people who are filled up with this stuff? Like, how funky must it, it's gotta be like really, really putrid BM. And I'm not even gonna get into describing the worst I've ever walked in on, if you will. Like, but can you imagine having to walk around with that thing? There was a person I knew once, and everything she said was just, it's been years, but it was just like she existed in this space that was just purely like a cesspool, and she couldn't get out of it. Like, everything was just so, I don't know, just so sad for her. And to walk into her space, you're just like, ooh, this is a lot. And I don't want to come back here ever again, right? And, like when you tried to bring some positivity to the space, it was always, yeah, but, and you're like, nah, not today, Satan, right? Not today, because I don't want to be in that space, right? So I don't know. I mean, I want her to be okay. And because if she's not, you guys can't send for her or whatever, right? So, yeah, I think we want her. I think we understand that the things that she did, especially like asking about, or not asking about, being cruel around Archie's, the thing that came out in the Amsterdam, that printed edition that said that she was the person who was being really nasty around Prince Archie. And just, when you think about the worst thing Harry ever did publicly, the whole costume, and the thought that you guys encouraged that. Yeah, he's got some culpability too, right? Because he paid for it. And look how he's grown, look how he's changed. But there was a kind of influence where you guys were like, oh, that's really funny, when you had a chance to teach him this thing. And that thing is, every once in a while it plagues him, which sucks for him. And so, like, when you're a big sister, when you're a big brother, and then what's the irony, though, of him marrying our Duchess, our Princess Duchess? The irony of that is just so rich. So look how, like, he talks, too, about, like, not being all, he understands that he's still growing. And he's growing in a way that is so beautiful right before our eyes. You try to encourage him, allegedly, to be cruel, to be mean, to think that these things are funny. As a young person, when he's looking to you for guidance, you're supposed to be that person. And now look at him, like the entire world. I saw Prince Harry, that was the ESPN Awards, right? When Prince Harry showed up at the ESPN Awards, and he was presenting an award for, it was like one of the athletes of the year, if you will. And the guy was like, my grandmother loves you, Prince Harry. My grandmother loves you, Prince Harry. And it was just a beautiful moment. It's like, oh, and he wanted to say his grandma loved Prince Harry, but he knew he was like loving Prince Harry himself. Because Prince Harry has, what he is today cannot approximate any, like what he and Meghan have done for each other. We are all better off as people because of seeing and vibing with Prince Harry and Princess Meghan, I think. So, I think that just like, perhaps we should stop promoting her. Yeah, I mean, I think, yes, Connie, I think a part of me definitely agrees with that. I am also really curious, and I'm really concerned. So, let's see. Mary says she humiliated herself going to Rose's bash for nothing. Katie was... Gosh. Yeah, I think that's absolutely true. All of these things are true. You guys keep receipts. And I know people get mad at me when I say, certain things, and even bringing her up can be triggering. And I'm sorry, guys. I just don't want it to be said about... Here's part of it. I just don't want it to be said partially about the squad if things are, and it's not our responsibility. If things go a certain way, that, that whole narrative that they have about us too. Like, we are people who are children of our ancestors, and we do have that thing around caring, even for those for people like that. Oh my gosh! So we're I'm reading like what Gwen said and what Mary said, and oh boy, the caption of your video is not surprising. Okay, we're gonna go on to the next slide. King Charles and the call to reduce the number of working royals. Does his plan to reduce the number of working royals seem to be working in his favor? We've talked about that a bit. And then we had Meghan and Harry's Nigeria trip. And how wonderful was that trip? How beautiful was that trip? And how special was that trip? She got to be named the crown princess in the media all around the world. There was this whole thing, like, that's when we saw the media. They're trying to, they were trolling and trying not to troll, like, or something. There was something, I can't describe it. But they were still trolling, but there was also this kind of, like, sadness around, like, oh, a kind of what if. Had we been nice to them, had we, well, you know, continued to, not even continued to, had we not engaged in so much trolling, would they be here? What? Because they understand that Meghan and Harry and Meghan and Harry, their brand would also be the brand of the UK royal family. Their brand would also be representative of the UK more largely. Like, we are this family that is diverse, and we are this family that is loving. We are this family that cares about, you know, the Meghan and Harry, and but you guys too, all of the people of the UK, look at our family. Like, they could have said that, look at our family, we are also diverse, we, you know, like, all of these things. And if the entire family had not even just accepted, had relished and loved on them, they would be in a completely different position individually. I think that King Charles would be reported on differently in the media had he just embraced his daughter-in-law and embraced his son in a different way, where the world could see it, but where he himself would have had a kind of glow up. Like, you know, and now he's, you know, we're reading about him giving his grandson George, or whichever one, a special seat made from, like, swing set or swing. And I saw one that was kind of clickbait, and I'm like, really? He wants to do that for his other grandchildren? Really? What's stopping him? We'll set up Kate not to bow down to the yeah, like, he refused to do that, but even he went back on his, you know, his whatever with his mom and talked about her mental health. And that was pretty sad, and Harry came back and pushed back against that pretty much right away, right? Charles reducing royal workers, but I can't see the rest yet. So we did the meditation and prayer. The mystery of Kate, we've done that. It's that's what it is. That's the number. It's been, yesterday was 193, and these are my calculations since her last public appearance. To me, that's scary, right? What's next? It says something. There's like an error message on my. We've done that. So Maya Angelou said, try to be a rainbow around someone's cloud. And when I think about that, I think that, you know, Maya Angelou has given us so many gems, right? When someone shows you who they are, like, you might not remember what someone said, but you always will remember, and I'm paraphrasing, the way they made you feel. I think we could all learn a lot from these things, right? The way that we in the squad make each other feel, the way that Meghan and Harry make us feel, the way we feel when we see those kiddos, when we see Archie climbing on that table to either help his sister or get that cake. Like, I can't imagine they eat a lot of cake in that family either, because Meghan is such a, you know, a person who cares about nutrition, and we're going to get to see that whole cooking show, and that thing will be out in the media, if you will, right? So I think those are things that are happening. Is something happening with YouTube, with the studio? I'm getting an error message on my screen. It says, let me see. Let's see if it says we're okay. It says we're okay, so I'm going to go with we're okay. Yeah, it's saying that there's an error message there. But try to be a rainbow in someone's cloud. I think Meghan in Harry's cloud, like when we saw him, I just imagine that first date, if you will, and then they're getting out their diaries, his word. We have to check our diaries and pencil each other in. What are you doing tomorrow? Oh, and then we're going to take this whole trip to Botswana where the media can't see us, where we can bond, where we can join, and we can see if this thing that we believe is something that we want to hold on to is also something that's going to last for us, right? Connie says, April love high. And Gwen says, oh, yeah, same thing. Gwen says April love high. Connie says April love. Charles reducing the working royals but increasing the funding and taking bags of cash. Yes, we remember that story, and it couldn't be investigated. We're past that time of investigating it because he's now king. They didn't want to investigate it. I think that there's a different kind of contract, allegedly, that exists. Mary. And he is this, yes, he appears to be all of these things, and I do believe that he could have been so much better had he wanted to, based on his relationship with Meghan. And when you see somebody glow your son up, not just physically, but we saw a transformation happen in this man. He is happy. He is a loving father. He's Archie's papa. He's Lily's papa, and he's a papa in the way of dads. Like, he's a girl dad. He's a father of a son. Like, he's trying to raise a son. And he is, when he and Meghan talk about their relationship, like, they put that first. And my mom used to talk about that, like, with my dad. Like, oh, our relationship comes first. And I'm like, what? Wait a minute, I'm a kid. That don't seem right. And my mother would be like, well, it's in the Bible, if you will. Like, whatever Bible verse. And I never understood that as a kid, like why the kids don't come first. I do, and I mean, we still take care of the kids, but that relationship allows for everything else to exist. I think that's what my mom was trying to teach me, that the relationship that she had with him was the relationship that allowed us to have shoes and us to have, a certain standard of living and a certain way of being in our household, where if we're fighting, if we're not working, if we're angry, if we're doing all these things, then you're not going to have a stable kind of childhood. So we shore each other up first, and then you learn from us, and hopefully you go out in the world and you find someone that you do the same thing with, because the goal isn't to keep you here. The goal is to give you the tools that you need to be able to go out in the world and form your own, and so that your children have that same kind of thing, right? And yeah, I think that a lot of us haven't forgiven Charles since the time of Diana. And I think that wound with, that media wound and that security wound revisited itself with respect to Prince Harry. When we understand the Queen wanted him to have security. Of course, he's her favorite, but that's not just why. She loves him. She loves Harry, and she wanted him to be safe. What happens to a population, not even individuals, in the psyche of a population, in the psyche of a nation, when the nation understands that Harry's mom died because of lack of security in many ways, and Harry is being put at risk in a lot of our minds, right? So if Harry's being put at risk in our minds, and you're taking security away from him, or you're saying you can't even pay for this, but other people can come and pay for it, it looks like a very intentional kind of punishment, especially when you consider what happened before. Am I being too cool? When I step back and I have perspective and I'm like, all right, I'm gonna look at this from way back here. To me, what it looks like, if you understand my mama is gone based on not having enough security, and you're saying I can't get that either, it's saying something else to me too, right? And so by you saying that, you're my dad, by you not forcing your will, shouldn't it be, even if the nation says no, and I understand that that's not what happened, but even if the nation says no, I got you, I'm going to use my own monies instead of paying for Prince Andrew, allegedly, and the way he lives where he lives in his big old house, I am going to use this money for security for my child. And the nation can take care of Prince Andrew. Prince Andrew can move into a different house. You know, perhaps Adelaide Cottage. I can't really stomach the idea of him living in Frogmore. Just because, you know, Queen Charlotte lived there and Princess Meghan lived there. So I'm just like, I don't want his vibes like messing up the vibe in that house. So that's how I'm feeling. Anyway, guys, I think this is a good time. I'm going to put up the rest of the slides for us to begin wrapping up. So as we wrap up today's episode, I hope you found new perspectives and understandings of Meghan's journey and the complexities surrounding the UK family. Remember, just like Bill Withers sings, when the day that lies ahead of me seems impossible to face, just one look at you. And I know it's going to be a what? What's it going to be, guys? I didn't hear you in the chat. What's it going to be, guys? Do we know? A lovely day. So if you love that song, I had a whole script. We went off a bit and got onto another tangent and started talking about some other things. But yeah, like that's what I want for all of us. I want us to have a lovely day in the way that Bill Withers song. And if you haven't heard that song, please go look up that song, Lovely Day. If you haven't heard it in a while, please go look up that song and put that song on. Because like at least for me, when I hear that song, it makes me understand and feel like it's gonna be a lovely day. And you know, and there are the two choruses that are going, lovely day, lovely day, lovely day, all of that, right? So thank you so much, everybody, for coming into the space and joining with us and listening. And if you listen for 5 minutes or if you listen for the entire time, I appreciate you. Again, I'm not going to be perfect. I'm going to say some things that people are not going to be happy with at times. And I think, and it is just to say that we're human and that we make mistakes and I make mistakes. And at the end of the day, we can still have a